My little C-Spire phone says 10 o'clock. So I want to welcome you to our state board meeting this morning. Thank you for all of those that came from the south today that had to navigate all the traffic and so on and so forth. Our student rep has learned about roads that didn't know existed in Jackson, so we're glad to have everyone here. I would like to remind everyone to silence your cell phones at this time, please. Also be reminded that we are live streamed moving forward, and we are at the Mississippi Board of Education meeting for October the 17th at 10 o'clock in the fourth floor boardroom at the Central High School building of the Mississippi Department of Education, located at 359 North West Street in Jackson, Mississippi. So as I call the meeting to order, we have two members that are with us virtually today. Mr. Mayo, if you'll raise your hand, identify yourself, and tell us where you are, we'd appreciate it.
Matt Mayo, and I'm in Carmel, Louisiana for a couple more hours.
All right. Billie Jean? She didn't make it known? If you will, let us know so we can get that from her. Thank you. At this time, I'd like you to stand while Bill Jacobs will lead us in our pledge and Matt Miller in our invocation.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to come together. Please guide us in our decisions today to make sure we do what's in the best interest for the students of the state of Mississippi. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. You have before you, our first item is the September 17th, 2024 board meeting minutes. May I have a motion to accept those?
so moved.
Second.
And Ms. Werner. No question or comments. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And Mr. Mayo said aye. You also have in front of you the agenda for the meeting for today. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Miller?
Second.
No questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. You have before you the consent agenda for today's meeting. Is there anything that needs to be pulled out at this point? Seeing no one, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda for today? Jacobs?
Second.
No question or comments. Everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I've already told the state superintendent he's got to do a better job working with the traffic coming into Jackson for our meetings, but he said he had no control over that, so I had to agree with him. But now he has his report to move forward. Escort. I don't know. I don't think I'd want that either. All right, sir. Your table's yours.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. It has, like every month, it's been another busy month. Had the opportunity to visit some places and also have some meetings to help move the organization forward. Some of the legislative meetings involve a meeting with Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann. Basically, the primary reason for that was discussing some of the priorities for the upcoming legislative session, talking about the chronic absenteeism rates, teacher shortage issues, district cell phone issues in school districts with cell phones. You know, we'll see some legislation, I feel like, from both sides as we move through this upcoming session. Had a meeting with Representative Bailey and Representative Hines, who represent Greenville School District. They came, we had a great conversation about some ways that we can provide support there. They're extremely supportive of their district, very proud of their district, but they know that we need to help provide some support there. So I appreciate them taking time. That was a great meeting. Also had another meeting with the Mental Health Task Force that has been convening for the last several months. In that they have made some recommendations that have come out. I think some of those may have been made public. Some of you may have seen those. That's where remember we did the cell phone survey that we sent out to all of our districts. We did that to provide information to them. Brian McGarity and Holly Spivey and myself attended that meeting, as well as Wendy Bailey, who is the Director of Mississippi Department of Mental Health, Dr. Edney, who's Mississippi State, who is the Director of Mississippi State Department of Mental Health. I'm sorry, Wendy Bailey. Department of Health, Dr. Edney, I apologize for that. And then Representative Smith, Leah Smith, representing the Lieutenant Governor's office, was there as well. So that was a very, very good meeting. A lot of positive things are happening. Had the opportunity to attend a celebration at Pass Christian School District. They were basically celebrating their academic accomplishments. A wonderful place. I told them when I started smiling when I walked into that building. It didn't stop till I got out and got in the car headed back. They're it's heartwarming to see people be so prideful in their school and in their school district, and just prideful of their success. So it's a outstanding school district. We have finished up our principal and teacher advisory committee meetings. We finished it up yesterday at Clinton with the principal advisory committee and also with the teacher advisory committee. We had, from a principal standpoint, we had 19 returning members and 23 new members. It's a big group, and they all had a great discussion for about 2 hours. And also, they typically, Dr. Van Cleve has they're a working group as well. So she has a project they're working on. They made some good progress there, and I appreciate them doing that. We had our biggest teacher group here in the metro area. There was around 60 that were there. We met from 3 to 5 yesterday afternoon. Great conversation. Every one of these convenings has been a great experience. Very positive, providing information, a lot of give and take there. So I look forward to the next round of those. That's a great, when that was started, that was a great idea. So I really appreciate having that opportunity, and they appreciate having the opportunity to participate. And I want to thank all the locations that let us, that have hosted us, but specifically Clinton for doing that. We use their area pretty much all day, or it was all day yesterday, so we appreciate that. Went on a visit to Mississippi State University. Ms. Holly Spivey and John Farrell went with me last Friday. We toured the Advanced Composites Institute, which was a very interesting place. I learned a lot there. Also, the Raspet Flight Lab, and then the RCU, and then went by the Communiversity and spent some time on the way back to Jackson. So it was a great opportunity there. Spent all day there. I think we got there at 9 and I think left at like 4. So it was a long day, but it was I learned a lot. I see where we can partner on some things and make and create great opportunities for some of our students. Had a couple speaking engagements. Spoke at the Mississippi Council for Exceptional Children's Conference. There was about 350 participants there. Also spoke at the Stennis Capital Press Forum. There were some 40, 50, 60 people there. I really appreciated having that opportunity as well. Everything was very positive. Dr. McGehee was there. I appreciate him inviting me or being part of the invitation process to get there. So I think that was a good opportunity for us to have a healthy discussion of the future of Mississippi, so public education. Also, early in the month, I went with our accountability team to the Center for Assessment and the REALS Conference, and it was very enlightening, a lot of good information there. Dr. Domaleski is one of the key players in that organization who also helps lead up the Accountability Task Force and the TAC Committee here in Mississippi, and that was a very, very beneficial couple of days that we spent there. And of course, just numerous other meetings that happened, meetings with MPB, NAEP Ambassador, CCSSO, Education Commissioners of the States, or ECS, and the R7CC, which is the Regional 7 Comprehensive Center. Met with representatives from there. And then rounding it out, had our first of two, we actually have had 2 now, meetings with our strategic planning subcommittee. And I want to throw a big shout out to Dr. Gavin and her team for turning around that work on that RFP to get it, they heavy lift there. They turned that around pretty quickly to help us get to the point where we are so we can finish up and get that RFP out. There's a couple steps we still have to go through, but Otherwise, it's been a great week, excuse me, great month. It's been a great week too, but it's been a great month. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. As far as the report of the chair, I've had the privilege to work with Dr. Evans and McGehee and Miller and I on looking forward on the strategic plan that we're looking at, and hopefully moving forward with that project. One of the things that is most enticing to me is that it's going to be inclusive of many stakeholders across our state moving forward, and looking for that work as it goes through proper processes. Now we get to the fun part of our meeting. Kate, our senior representative, cell phones in the classrooms and legislative cell phone stuff, so very timely.
Seems very fitting. So, good morning, everyone. Just to kind of recap a little bit of what I've been doing. We're finished with our first 9 weeks of school, so I'm about a quarter of the way through of my last year of high school and my last term here. So it's exciting, but also a little sad. But I recently have been elected the Southeast Regional Vice President of the National Student Board Member Association Executive Council. So I'll be working with them to kind of expand student board member roles on a regional level throughout Mississippi and the Southeast, while also working on advancing state-level student board members as well in states that do not have them. So I'm excited to work with them. They've been great so far. We've had a lot of discussions, so it's going to be great. I'm excited. But as for referencing Dr. Evans talking about cell phones in the classroom, that's kind of what I'm talking about today. So it seems as though phones and technology have been increasingly present in the classroom and in the world around us, and that kind of brings a lot of concerns for educators and teachers about how they're going to navigate this new technology, and the most recent one being cell phones inside schools. As younger students are getting cell phones, it kind of creates an issue. So at this time, at least 15 states have enacted some sort of educational policy recommending, requesting, or requiring less phone usage in the classroom. Mississippi is not trailing far behind. As Dr. Evans said, Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann has told Magnolia Tribune that focusing on cell phone restrictions in public school classrooms is something that he'll be focusing on in the 2025 legislative session. And while January might seem far away, there are a few key points I would like the legislator and the department to keep in mind as we prepare for this next session. The first, many school-age children have not lived in a time period without a cell phone being present. For a significant portion of students, the concept of life without constant connectivity is almost foreign. This lack of experience with a tech-free environment can hinder their ability to focus on the present moment, engage fully in learning, and develop critical social skills. Without opportunities to practice face-to-face interactions and engage in communication, students risk missing out on valuable developmental milestones. Schools have the opportunity to cultivate an environment that encourages on direct interaction, creativity, and collaboration, which are essential skills in both academic and future professional settings. Secondly, the increased usage of cell phones among students has been linked to noticeable declines in mental health. Research indicates that excessive screen time, particularly on social media platforms, can lead to issues such as anxiety, depression, and feelings of isolation. These mental health challenges can have significant repercussions in the classroom, such as declining academic performance, chronic absenteeism, and even behavioral problems. It is vital that educators and policymakers recognize these correlations and take proactive measures to minimize the detrimental effects of cell phone usage. By prioritizing mental well-being and creating structured environments that limit distractions, we can create an atmosphere where students feel supported and are better equipped to thrive academically and personally. Finally, keeping phones out of the classroom is not merely about reducing distractions. It is essential for ensuring the success of our students in both the short term and long term. A classroom free from the constant buzz of notifications and social media engagement allows students to immerse themselves in their studies, participate actively in discussions, and collaborate effectively with their peers. This focused learning environment can lead to improved academic outcomes and greater student engagement. Cultivating a disciplined approach to technology usage will equip students with the skills to manage their devices responsibly in the future, ultimately preparing them for a workforce that increasingly values concentration, collaboration, and critical thinking. In conclusion, as we approach the 2025 legislative session, It is crucial for legislators and educational leaders to consider the implications of cell phone usage in schools carefully. By understanding the unique context in which today's students operate, recognizing the mental health challenges linked to excessive phone use, and advocating for structured learning environments, we can ensure that our educational policies support the overall development and success of our students. The decisions made in the coming months will undoubtedly shape the educational landscape for years to come, making it imperative that we prioritize the well-being and future readiness of our next generation. Thank you.
Before we're going to Crosby, Billie Jean, I should have mentioned it earlier, she did get checked in through the system. She's there. Wave. Billie Jean, if you'll introduce yourself and tell us where you are.
Hey guys, Billie Jean Stroud, New Albany, Mississippi, and I'm sorry I can't join you today, but I have a wedding coming up Saturday, so I'm a little frazzled.
All right.
So,
I think most of
but
us,
I'm here with you.
I think most of us have been through that 2 or 3 times for some. Yes. That's children now, not us. We're individuals. Okay, Crosby, now that I've stuck my foot on my mouth in that one, let's go ahead. Thank you, Billie Jean.
Good morning. Today I'm excited to provide an update on our mentoring program now that we've completed our first 9 weeks of the school year. We've held several sessions and it has been an amazing experience for everyone involved, both mentors and the mentees. We're going to pull up a few pictures that we've been taking during the sessions and you'll see the look on the kids' faces. I mean, it's been amazing. Advocating for peer-to-peer mentoring is one thing, but seeing the real impact behind each relationship has been truly eye-opening. Watching the students connect, grow, and gain confidence in themselves has proven to be the most rewarding part of this project. Personally, I've had the privilege of mentoring 2 incredibly enthusiastic elementary students. Their excitement during our sessions, along with how much they and all the other mentees look up to their mentors, has served as a powerful reminder of the importance of leadership and support. These students view us as leaders, role models, and dependable supporters. This program proves that if expanded across the state, Mississippi could further distinguish itself as a place that produces leaders. These high school mentors are gaining a unique understanding of what leadership looks like in practice. By stepping into these roles, they can develop the confidence and the skills needed to positively influence and motivate those around them. Expanding programs like ours would give Mississippi students a competitive edge, producing leaders who excel academically and have real leadership experience. There's been complete cooperation from all involved, including high school and elementary school administration, teachers, mentors, and mentees. This cooperation has allowed us to build trusting relationships that are already showing results. We've now begun evaluating mentees to better understand where they're thriving and where they need more support. We're monitoring grades, behavior, iReady growth, and the results of a pre-assessment survey which provided insights into self-esteem, social competence, and caregiver relationships. We've already identified areas where some students need extra attention, like those with low confidence in communicating with their caregivers. By connecting them with counselors, our mentors are able to become another bridge that closes the gap between students and the resources that they need to thrive in and out of the classroom. As we continue, I look forward to seeing how these relationships evolve and help shape a new generation of leaders. I would love to answer any questions that y'all may have after this meeting. Thank you.
Job as usual. Thank you both for your reports today. We have 2 subcommittees that have met. First is Educator Quality. Mr. Miller.
Yes, thank you. We had a good meeting, Tuesday afternoon. Highlights were Dr. Van Cleve gave us a preview of the educator workforce update. I'm not going to steal her thunder, so let her do that for us here in a moment. The other thing is we got an update. One of the projects that we have been looking at is clearing up the backlog of complaints against T-shirt licenses. And the last time we had this discussion about 6 months ago, we roundtabled several ideas to clear this up. Well, they're working. In addition to that, we've identified some things that we're going to present to the legislature that may speed up the process to clear up this backlog to where they can
those folks who deal with those licensure issues can focus on the bad actors and get the less offensive complaints resolved quickly. So we had a very good meeting.
Thank you, sir. Workforce, Career, and Technical Education, Ms. Werner.
Again, I'm going to give a shout out to John Farrell and Brett Robinson. They bend over backwards to get stuff done. Highly, highly impressed with them. Just a few things that we talked about. They are working on creating a K-12 plan for the opportunity to have meaningful access to some of these programs. And so hopefully that will come to fruition. They've done a lot of work on it and getting there. They're also in there with a lot of partners, different people who hopefully will work with us. One good thing I have to say, well, all things I have to say right now are good, but the test scores are improving. So that's always a good sign. And also they're going to be having on the 29th of October, they're having a statewide task force conference. And it's fascinating because they're going to connect business with CTE and educators, and they're going to really pull it all together. So I'm excited about it.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
If anybody has any questions, I refer to you, Brett Robertson or John Farrell.
Thank you very much, Ms. Warner. All right, we have 3 informational items on our agenda, so let's begin with Dr. Vanderford and probably Dr. Van Cleve. Come on up.
Good morning. On behalf of OTL, of the Office of Teaching and Leading, I shouldn't have, that's what we abbreviate here, OTL, so everyone may not know, but Office of Teaching and Leading, which is led by Dr. Corey Murphy. But Dr. Courtney Van Cleve will provide us some brief updates around the workforce. And the information that she's going to share with us today was from the 2023-2024 teacher retention survey results and recruitment and retention survey. So she will also provide, along with the presentation, some of the statewide strategies that we have in place or will have in place in response to the feedback that we received.
Good morning. Good morning again, and thank you for the opportunity to share today's information item as an update on Mississippi's educator workforce. As always, we begin with our vision and mission, which we know is to create a world-class educational system so that all students are prepared to compete in the global community. Within that, we see a strong educator workforce is critical to achieving Goal 4. Every school has effective teachers and leaders, even as we believe that lays a firm foundation for the positive student outcomes that we also look to see here as well. In order to achieve Goal 4, the Office of Teaching and Leading works across Mississippi's educator career continuum to support our educators from recruitment to retirement. So in today's results, you'll see a number of different factors, such as those topics listed here. Jumping right on into those results, today's presentation is intended as an overview, wherein we will then release the full results of the survey on our website so that they can assist the ongoing efforts with our districts, universities, and other education stakeholders. So as an overview, for those of you who are newer to our educator workforce updates, we tend to provide at least 2 a year after the conclusion of our statewide survey administrations. So for the teacher recruitment and retention survey, we began administering this survey during the 21-22 school year. This year, the name was adjusted in recognition of the recruitment factors that have been included throughout. Baseline surveys include 70-plus questions for a comprehensive picture of educator workforce development efforts and trends over time. On the other hand, non-baseline surveys are shorter to dive deeper into the previous year's results. So for example, this year's survey was only 20 questions in order to explore topics like the impact of modified calendars. In total, 6,903 Mississippi teachers completed the survey for the 23-24 school year, which did indeed serve as a non-baseline administration year. In terms of the 6,903 teachers who completed the survey, what we did see this year was a fairly even distribution across the years of experience. So this year's results are indeed reflective of the perspective of early, mid, and established career educators. Jumping right into kind of the beginning of our educator career continuum, we looked at a few different factors for increased teacher recruitment. Given some of the survey comments and stakeholder feedback we received last year, here were some of the ideas that were shared. Of those, increased days for sick and or personal leave was a clear front runner. But that being said, we always want to note that some of our more innovative strategies like transportation supports, a dedicated shuttle for employees' children, that could indeed work for a definitive local context. So it's not to say that some of these other strategies won't work in other areas, it's just that the local context matters a lot in ways that may not always be reflected in the statewide roll-up. So with that being said, in terms of working conditions, ongoing supports for our teachers on a daily basis, we dove into, again, some of the results from last year. You all will see a theme here for today. We saw an uptick last year in terms of instructional time interruptions. We got the results from teachers, and yes, yet again, cell phones in the classroom rose to the surface, with those interruptions largely being attributed to students' personal devices during instructional time. With that being said, we also saw an uptick in terms of concerns related to safe school environments. Here we admittedly thought social media might be more of a factor. It might be interrelated, but what did rise to the surface was campus security factors and student behavioral factors in terms of teacher perceptions. Then when we look at a school level, this year will remain consistent, and that school leadership does remain the second biggest factor in teacher attrition. So what we wanted to do was actually flip that and think about what are the school leader actions that could increase teacher recruitment, and of those, teachers cited the need for more trust and autonomy. Moving then towards a district level, we were asked by the board last year to look at the impact of modified calendars on teacher retention. Here I think the results are interesting in that they're fairly neutral overall. However, of those teachers who work in districts with a modified calendar, they said that the modified calendar assisted retention more often than it didn't. So with that, that's one of those areas we'll want to continue to look at over time as additional districts adopt the calendar, and or just as the educator workforce gets used to a different type of calendar over the years. Then at a state level, we've continued to see calls for increased teacher compensation, so wanted to drill into those a bit more. Here, teachers primarily cited just simply the increased cost of living due to inflation as a driver in increased calls for compensation, more so than what we typically think of as competitive factors, such as teacher salaries in comparison to other state salaries, or even teacher salaries in comparison to other professions. Teachers primarily cited, no, it just costs more to make a living these days. So with that being said, we'll jump right into some of the strategies statewide we'll be pursuing this year, because we've continued to see this connection between leadership and teacher retention. A number of our strategies this year are actually going to focus on administrator development and support, even as we will continue some of our supports for educators statewide. With that being said, as an exciting update, our Professional Growth System, or PGS portal, is fully live and launched within the MECA platform. platform. We did indeed have 100% of districts to submit PGS data for the 23-24 school year. So that transition from an accred standpoint is set and solid. We also have 30 districts that opted for full implementation of all observation and coaching features within the portal this year, even as we have another 83 districts who are kind of taking a phased-in approach by participating in our PGS portal community of practice. We also are excited that with Dr. Evans' support and with the board's approval of the RESA contract extension last month, we will be launching a new education leadership series focused for administrators, focused on strengthening instruction, strengthening teams, and strengthening schools. With some of the topics that you see here listed, this was indeed a collaborative effort across the agency to develop this series, so many thanks to all who were involved with that. And then finally, the Elevate Teachers Conference, because we want to continue to honor the impact that teachers make on a daily basis. These are the results from our Elevate Teachers Conference. This year, we started with the conference in Jackson. We took it on the road to Meridian this past year. 2 different locations, the exact same results, so we are excited to see where the Elevate Conference lands in Mississippi this year. And with that, happy to take any questions or comments.
Question about the school safety remarks there. Did they specify anything regarding that?
No, they didn't specify anything with regard to campus security factors or student behavioral factors. I do think anecdotally when we see in the comments is in terms of student behavioral factors, I think we're continuing to see some of the uptick in behavioral concerns post-COVID has been fairly consistent.
Great job, thank you. Dr. Craman, I know you brought a gentleman with you that probably does most of the work, so if, I don't know his name, but if you'll introduce him, I would greatly appreciate that so that I can remember it for next time.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Accurate, sir, and the fact that you probably you're in that place doing most of this work, punching it out every day. Is that
Be careful.
kind of what it is?
Actually, so this is Josh Huey. He's our data director. You may remember him also. He was one of the team members who helped us with the EDLA devices. And so Josh has been an instrumental member of OTSS, along with Tamla, of course, over these years. So you probably have seen his name before.
Once you said his name, I remembered it. So glad to have you with us again, Dr. Huey. Thank you.
So thank you for the chance to come back and talk to you all about both the Mississippi Student Information System and the Mississippi Succeeds Report Card. I realize now that I have them in reverse order, but I did, I usually get asked for my 4 to 5 minutes, but Dr. Evans was generous. He said, just take all the time that you need. There's a lot of technical detail ahead of us, so I asked Deborah Douglas to put extra coffee on, so if you all need to take a break, just go ahead.
I assure you, I'll clap this gavel well before.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Reese. Appreciate that, Mr. Reese. On that note, it's been we think we were here a couple months ago giving you an update on MSIS. We did build a world-class data system to match the world-class education system. We do believe that all of the work that we do, has to affect all of these goals. It's not just goal 5, but every goal of the board, right, relies on data, needs data, and the support of OTSS. So this is very important to us. I'm going to skip ahead real quick just so I can get to topic 2, which is really topic 1. But the Mississippi Succeeds Report Card, just want to spend a minute on this. I'm not sure how much you all are used to working with that platform other than when accountability results come out, but I just want to spend a minute just reminding you all of what's available, and if you all want any extra time on this or want a one-on-one training on this platform, we were more than happy to provide it. But just want to give a quick overview. The Mississippi Succeeds Report Card does provide us right now with updated with information about last school year. The results that Dr. Vanderford and Alan provided last time, right, will be reflected in the system. The results on the determinations went out yesterday, so that'll be updated in the next release for the Mississippi Succeeds report card on the CSI, TSI, and all that. Quick overview, right? It's accountability data. There's different ways of looking at the data. You can look at it as a data screen. You could look at a data map. You could look at it as a download. You can think about different ways of approaching the data. I'm not going to do a walkthrough of it, but again, we could happy to provide more background or training on this. There's different ways of comparing schools. I just picked randomly Gulfport and Madison to sort of do a quick comparison. You can compare different schools or different districts. You can also drill in and get to different subgroups, whether by race or program participation or gender or so forth. Different ways of looking at the data. And beyond the accountability indicators, there's also other indicators related to discipline, outcomes for high school graduates. That one links to the data we get from our SLDS up at MSU. So if you want to see about outcomes where kids end up in college, workforce, et cetera, that data is available inside of that bottom right click. That's all I have real quickly. Just any questions or thoughts on that, and happy to dig in on any of this offline if anyone wants some more time. But just wanted to share this with you all this year.
Dr. Huey, Dr. Kramer, the rollout has been good. I know that in the trenches, that we're working all the king size as we go on the bigger picture. Thank y'all very much for that work. Keep battling through it, because anytime you do something new, we're all having to learn as we go. Y'all done a great job with the training. And now with the application stage, it's those little things that keep nibbling at you. Keep going.
Yep.
Y'all doing a wonderful job taking care of that.
Well, thank you.
In the bigger picture there.
Appreciate it. So let's just swing back real quick then to the next item on the agenda, which is the MSIS piece, and I'm just going to click back through. So MSIS, there's a link to get to the resources that are on our webpage if you want to find out more about MSIS. MSIS is currently live. It is operational. It went live on June 28th. We reported that out in July. The school year started. We've been ingesting data. The work that Josh has been doing and others downstairs has been about processing the files that we're getting nightly from the vendors. That's the SIS vendors, so PowerSchool and Central Access's SAM system, as well as discipline, personnel, special ed, other different domains. We kind of covered a lot of that overview last time we talked about this. But it's there, happy and alive. Josh told me the day was processing about 10 million records an hour. So it's stable and productive and moving forward. All right. When we talked before the school year started, we shared out this this vision that we expected errors to start to populate the system because the data is coming in every night and we're validating the data and giving feedback to the districts. We'd expect it to rise as the data started coming in and then settle down before we did the first month one certification. This was based initially on my experience when I was in Oklahoma, and we had just over 700,000 kids. We peaked at about 700,000 errors the first year we did it. The next year, it was about half that, just because the people at the schools learned about the relationship between what they're entering in the system and the feedback they were getting to do better the next year. Let me see if I can get out of that. Oop, what did I just do? Oh, all right, there we go. So here's where we actually are. So we have about 430,000 kids in the state of Mississippi. When we peaked on September 4th, we were about 448,000 errors. As of this morning, we're down to about 15,709 errors. That's clearing about 97% of the work has been completed by the district and their vendors of clearing the errors out. As of this morning, we had 12 districts had certified, and a number of schools had, beyond that, a number of schools, so they certify the schools and then they certify the district. We have about another 130 schools that have already been certified, and a number more of schools that have all the errors cleared up, but they're working on getting the certification of the schools. We are continuing to work aggressively, and I think maybe, Ms. Reese, this is what you were talking about, right, the working with the staff in the districts. We're engaging with both them to clear data issues and with their vendors to clear technical issues because they've written the APIs, the connection between their systems and ours. We've also opened up flat file backdoors in case the district were struggling to get the issues resolved with their vendors so they could send us the data to clear issues faster. But because of really the delays with the vendor side as well as with the fall breaks that have inconveniently hit right when the certification was happening, including trying to resolve issues between two districts, when one district might be out this week and the next district's out the next week, that's a 2-week delay in getting the staff to clear those issues. We extended the deadline to the 23rd. Again, we've gotten 97% of the errors already resolved. That gives them another week to finish up. we can get any particular details. But I feel really good about where we are. I know the districts are anxious to get this all resolved and be done with certification. I would note that of the 15,709, we have an additional probably twice that number of issues that are new to this month that will have to be cleared before month 2 is certified in the beginning of November. Again, nothing unusual, but you can imagine having 30,000 issues versus 448,000 issues as a starting point. It's pretty good. Overall, I feel very good about where we are. The team, Josh and others, Deborah, have been working to the bone to get all this done, and grateful for all their efforts as well as their counterparts at the district level as well as the vendors. So far it's been, I think, a big success. Okay, so here's, again, engagement with the districts. I wanted to give you all a couple highlights about this. Really probably since August, but we had a couple prior to that. We've had 15 individual office hours where any district can call in. We've had specific targeted, 19 specific target-specific trainings to help the districts. We've had very good participation, so 80 to 100 participants each week on the office hours, and again, thousands of participants over across the different trainings. All these are recorded, the trainings are recorded and available online. We have regular calls with the vendors, constant communication with them to make sure things are going, sometimes on a daily basis, sometimes more than that. We're participating in all their user conferences. Deborah and team is out, they're out at the Power School today. They'll be on the coast for the Integrity, which is one of the personnel platforms, tomorrow. Central Access, which has both Marathon for personnel and Student Information System, SAMS, that's next week on the coast also. We've seen a dramatic uptick, doubling of the tickets we're used to seeing, but we've had to operate both old MSIS to round out last school year and MSIS 1, so we're hoping that settles out a little bit compared to last year. Once we're down to one system, that should be done. MSIS 1 is dead?
I don't remember.
I think it's dead. We killed it off a couple days ago, but we'll double check that. But I think it should be done, and the tickets should slow down for that, obviously. All the resources are posted on our website. Districts can have access to this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, including recordings of all the trainings. So if it's 3 a.m. and you're trying to do something and no one's available, you can just watch to see the training that you've already received. And that was about as fast as I can possibly go ever. So any questions, thoughts?
I had one compliment. I want to add several districts have complimented again on how they appreciate the support and the rollout, and that doesn't happen. People don't just compliment in situations like this, because this is obviously a huge lift, huge endeavor. And I appreciate all the work that you've done, but the other part that I wanted to state publicly is anytime there's an issue, the thing I appreciate is we're erring on the side of supporting the district. So if it's something that potentially is putting them in a bind, if you will, from a timeline standpoint, we're biting the bullet, if you will, and we're taking on the extra work to make sure we're trying to take care of our district. So I appreciate your team for taking that approach to it, because it makes a huge difference, and in the end, it always pays off. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks. It's almost as big of a success as the platform itself. And so actually later this month, we'll be at a national conference presenting on both the platform and lessons learned with our initial rollout, as well as on the stakeholder engagement and the training that we provided to the district. So we're getting a lot of national recognition for the work that we're doing, but obviously it all depends on helping the districts, as you said, Dr. Evans. Did you add anything to the?
Just that it's been a team effort, not only amongst my team, Tamala's team, working late hours, but again, the SIS vendors and the districts themselves. We feel like the districts are putting in the hours to try to clear these areas. We're going to put in extra hours as well to support them as best we can.
Thank you.
Pamela, thank you. Appreciate your work to this project. All right, moving on to an action item. Dr. Gavin.
Good morning. I have one contract to bring before the board, and it's actually a renewal of an existing contract, and that's action item 4A is to renew a contract with the Reading and Language Arts Center. They do business as BrainSpring. They provide professional development geared towards our K-12 reading proficiency. So this is year 3 of a 5-year contract that we're seeking renewal for.
Questions, motion to accept the Chief Operations Officer renewal of for the Reading and Language Arts Center doing business as Brain Spring for, motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second? Any questions for Dr. Gavin? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Dr. Gavin, number 5.
Okay, and we're presenting to the board one, one grant for renewability, and this is for the 21st Century Learning Centers Program. ESSA authorizes MDE to renew grants awarded to eligible entities under ESA. So we're bringing forth the renewability grant, and it's a 4-year renewal.
All right, motion to accept the Nina M. Lowry 21st Century Community Learning Program.
Motion.
Ronnie? Second?
Second.
Bill? Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Dr. Gatton? That's 2 weeks in a row you've had an easy task. Good. That's good. Or 2 meetings in a row, I should say. All right, you have before us the consent agenda. We've already discussed that part of the agenda. So are there any questions concerning consent agenda items? So do I have a motion to approve items A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I? Second? Miller? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Consideration for the need of executive session? There is none. Do I have anyone that needs to make a report on a meeting they've attended in the last 30 days?
I'll make it, just trying to find, I visited this, it's a for-profit organization, but it's in Tupelo, and it's in our Entrepreneur Center, the Idea Center, and, but I was really impressed because they do a lot of career prep, not career prep, I'm sorry, SAT prep and things, but they do a lot of work with kids who are dyslexic. One of the lady who does dyslexic, her husband is, and her 4 kids are. So I was very impressed with the fact that dyslexic kids can read, they have a different kind of font. I never knew that. And a different spacing and things. But anyway, so this was just a place that I was trying to find the exact name of it. But that's, now that I'm looking for it, you know that I'm not going to find it. Rattlesnake, here it
We'll
is.
come back to you.
And it's called Scholar Skills Strategies. And I was very impressed. The lady who runs it is Amber McHenry. This is her for-profit thing, but she also does nonprofit volunteering. She does it with children who are dyslexic or come from lower socioeconomic areas, and they can't afford to go to a for-profit. Anyway, it was a very impressive afternoon.
Thank you. Approval for attendance at any meetings in the future. Mr. Pruitt.
As continuing learning opportunity, I'd like the board's approval for me and anyone else that wants to attend today, specifically to go to the Mississippi School for Deaf and Blind, just to look at the campus and see what that is. We just approved an expense item for that. I've not been there before. And at some point, I know Dr. McGee's going to go with us this afternoon. And at some point, I would like to do the same for the Mississippi School for the Arts, just because I've not seen them, and we talk about them, and I'd like to just learn about them. I'd like the board's permission to do that.
All right, permission for, motion to allow for a tour of the School for the Deaf and Blind.
Motion.
Second.
And second, any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I would like to buy into Mr. Pruitt's concept of maybe as a full board scheduling some time to go and tour. I know in the local school districts, board members are required to go and visit the schools and so on and so forth, but I would like to get it, if we could, on some type of an agenda. And I'm really reaching out there. I don't know what the rules are about having board meetings outside of this venue. You know, if we could make it just a 2-in-1. if we
Today
could.
would have been a good one to have south of here.
Well, so, well, and I know we've already voted on it, but we could also go back and say you want to schedule that for another time and move it around. So anyway, I do think that's a good idea, just for a tour piece, and maybe we can, as we used to say in the old days, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and that's a legal operation to set that up. Probably puts a little bit more work on the staff for sure, but this may be a good idea for us to be able, as a whole team, see everything that we have great in our school district, especially at those 3, in our state, especially at those 3 facilities.
Well, even at 2, I'd be interested, even if we had our board meetings here because of the technical aspects of it, but I would like to visit other parts of the state
Okay.
and to see what they're doing. I have a really good idea of what they're doing in my little home area, but I'd like to see some other places, especially like with CTE.
Just something to look into, and Dr. Evans, you're doing well. You're doing well on these things we talked about earlier in life here. So just something to consider. I do not know the logistics of that, how difficult that may or may not be, but let's look at it and see if that's a possibility. And if not, we can come up with another plan. Any other approval for meetings that are needed? Well, I'm to the final motion of the day. Is there any other business that we need to take care of? Our next meeting will be on November, will be on November the 7th, that's 2024, here at the Jackson High School building on the 4th floor, in the 4th floor boardroom, and starting at 10 o'clock. So who would like the privilege of today of adjourning our meeting? Bill? Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?